I'm a very big Dan Verzen fan. I love everything that he's made. I really love his war games, which you can see on War and Pieces. I'll be covering some of those. But a few months ago, he came out with a really game that, well, I didn't expect. And it was Kickstarter and was very successful. That game is Cards of Cthulhu. Now, I know what you're saying. Cthulhu again. Well, is it any different? Is it any better than any other Cthulhu game? Let's head down to the table and take a look. Now, here we have the boards, and they're individual boards, and each one is one of the gods. As you can see, you have Cthulhu and Yagar Saroth or whatever, and boy, if you can pronounce the names, good luck to you. That's why the Cthulhu universe is so cool, because they got some really cool names. Now, as you can see here, there's card areas, and there's areas for minor horror, major horror, unspeakable horror, and gates. We'll explain that very shortly. Now, the object of the game is to go through the entire deck, and once you go through this entire deck, the game is over and you win. You lose if there are five minions in this area at the end of the turn, because then what they do is they open up the gate and the horror comes through and basically, or the god comes through and basically destroys all of the earth. Another way the game ends is if your investigator dies. And as you can see, there's a number of different types of investigators. There's a soldier, there's a big game hunter, a priest, explorer, a journalist, a thief, psychiatrist, ritualist, basically everything within the normal Cthulhu universe. Now, everything is done with these dice. You have 2 green dice, which are your health dice, and then your red dice, which is your body dice. Now, these are the dice that you start with and you roll. You'll roll these because these cultists have a number next to them, and you have to roll that number to get rid of them and destroy them. You get experience each time, and experience is taken care of in these fantastic little coins, as you can see. And these coins are really cool. But these coins are actually your experience. And you start the game with 4. So, what happens is, at the beginning of the game, it kind of has a rock, paper, scissors mechanism. Now, these other white dice that you may be wondering are spirit dice. You can purchase these if you feel that you need more dice to take care of a situation. So let's take a look at how turns are performed. Okay, a turn starts with draw cult cards. So we would draw cult cards because what we're trying to do is whittle down the cards. It's 4 cards and then plus any gates. So if any gates come out, you would add another card. So if you had 4 gates here, you would draw 8 cards a turn. And that's bad because there's only 5 areas that you can put those cards in on each board. And if it gets filled up and you can't get rid of them, well, guess what? You do a defeat check, and we'll talk about that very soon. After you draw the cards, you can purchase anything. And if you look over here, you can purchase any magic spells, spirit dice, which are limited to 3 each attack. Hurry, which costs to perform a second attack. If you want to pay, you can go twice. It's only limited once per turn. Healing would cost you 3, and that's kind of important because if you lose a body die, you need to get that die pretty quick. It'll cost 3 to regain 1 health die. And seal a gate costs 3, which is basically destroy a gate. So it'll cost you 3 experience. Now, the way the game works, let's take a look at that. So what happens here is we draw 4 cards. So let's start off by drawing 4 cards. So as you can see, we have a cultist leader for our first card, and he would go in the green space right here. Our second card would be a yellow card. Our third card is a follower, Now, if you choose not to buy a follower, you get 1 experience. So we're not going to buy him. So we're going to rather take the experience because you need experience here. And then our last card would be a potion. Now we can choose, this doesn't cost anything. Discard to pay an experience cost. So that's good to have because you do get potions. So we have our soldier over here. So we have 2 creatures here and we will roll our dice. Now, if we were to roll a 1 here, okay, we would lose sanity, okay, and we would lose a body die, and that's very badly, but we did not. So we would take the total. Now you have to pick a board that you're going to do before you roll your dice. So we're going to choose and try to get rid of everything on this green area. So we have 3, 2, and 5. Well, we can take care of that, and that is destroyed. Now we can't do anything about anything over there because we can only negotiate 1 area at a time. So all that extra rolling that we had actually does not help us. Now because we destroyed a follower, we get 1 experience. So now we're up to 6 experience. So we would go through and check. We didn't have to make any rerolls because you're allowed 1 reroll. A defeat check, no, we got the board pretty clear. And then we would move on to a victory check to see if we won, and no, we're not there either. So actually what we do now is we would start the whole process over again. And this is where it would get bad because now we would have a yellow a yellow cultist. The next card turned out to be an unspeakable horror, which is bad. Now it calls for a 4 dice combo. Now that means that we would have to have a 4 dice combo. That means we would have to roll these dice and either have like 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 4s, or any combination of anything. And that's the only way that we can get that, destroy that, or we would have to dedicate 4 dice to this and just put it on top here and say that's it, we want that to go away. Now here's the thing, we cannot attack the cultists until we take care of unspeakable horror. But here's the thing, the unspeakable horror comes out sleeping because there are not 4 minions. Now if there were 4 minions here, he would come out awake, and that would be bad because we would take sanity loss. So we would lose because we would lose sanity because he came out and he's awake and we're panicking. But right now he comes out sleeping, so all we would have to do is dedicate 4 dice to that and that card would go away. If it was turned over, we would have to have the 4 dice combo. Now there's certain things that happen. We have to, in order to get to the cultist, we would have to negotiate this. Now let's say, just for all intents and purposes, that we had a gate and we had 4 cards out here. Now, could not attack the gate to close the gate because we have followers here. Now, say we drew a horror and there wasn't enough and it's a sleeping horror. Now there's 2 ways to deal with a horror. A horror, and you can see here, is only awakened if there are 4 minions on here. Now minions protect the gate and sleeping horrors, but an awakened horror protects the gate and the minions. So you would have to deal with the minions before you can deal with the cultists, because as the cultists keep as you're trying to deal with this horror, if you cannot get a combination, they keep piling up. And once they get to here, and at the end of your turn, after you've done everything, and this happens pretty quickly on these boards because because there's a gate there, you would draw 5 cards right away, which is pretty bad. And if you had some things out there already, as you see, we draw another gate, so which means we would draw yet another card. And wow, here we are at 5. And then we would have a couple more here, and then we would have a cursed cube. Pay 2 experience. So we would lose 2 experience, and then if this whore had woken up, we would have to pay 4 experience for the dice combo because of sanity loss, which is bad, which leaves us nothing. So we would need spirit dice, and we couldn't afford the spirit dice because we need at least 4 dice to deal with this, and if you only got your 2 health dice and your body dice, well, that's pretty bad. Now, let's just back this up a little bit, and let's just say this whore is awoken and we have all of our particular sanity or hope, and we were able to pay all the costs. Now, in order to deal with this particular creature, you would have to buy some spirit dice, which would cost you 2 experience. And then what you would do is roll. On a roll, you would try to get a combo. Now for here, I have a 4, a 4, a 3, a 5, and a 2. So that's a 4 dice combo. So it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. That took care of this particular whore. And then we would get experience, which would be how much dice he's worth. So that would be 4 experience that we would get. So that would be very helpful to us. Now, with the 4 that we had left over, we can take off a card. Now, we wouldn't be able to take off the 9, but we would be able to take off this, and we would go to our next turn. We couldn't close the gate because there are followers in front of the gate, and we can only attack one board. So as you can see right here, we have a bunch of stuff on here, and we have to negotiate it and take care of it. So, let's just forsake take a look and see what would happen the next turn, just so you guys can get a full view of what would happen and how this would happen. Now, we would draw our 4 cards, and because we have 2 gates out there, we would draw 6 cards total. First card, which would be green. That's not very good for us either. Another cultist up top here. A 4th cultist. So that's 3 cards that we've drawn. A 5th one, which is really bad, and our 5th card. And on top of it, a gate with a follower that we could buy. But let's not say that we got that follower, and let's just say, great, we got an unspeakable whore, but that's not awake. Now you can see how bad this is. Do we let this go and hope that it doesn't turn out badly? We have a whore here that one more card comes, it's going to be a disaster. And then we have to negotiate this, because if we do not kill this, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So we have our 3 dice, and we're obviously going to have to buy 3 spirit dice. So we would pay for the 3 spirit dice. We would come up and declare that we need this board cleared so Cthulhu does not come into the world, and we would roll. And we did not roll a 1, which is good, so we still keep our health dice. And then with 6, 9, 15, 20, 24, this is actually very good, 26, we should be able to take care of this. Because there's 10, 22, and 27, so we have to decide what we're going to do. Probably the best solution is to take these cards out and leave this 1 card. But we still have the issue that even though that we took care of this and we were able to kill 4 and pick up 4 experience, which never hurts. And believe me, experience goes quick because you do get hurt here pretty quick. Now the next turn would be horrible because we would have to draw 7 cards. And as you can see, we still have a major horror here, or an unspeakable horror, which is here, and he's sleeping, and we need to get rid of him. We need to get to this board, but we can't afford that board to get crazy either. So let's draw 7 cards and see what happens. That's 1. Okay, we got a cursed temple. We've got a journalist. So that's 3. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's 4. Now this is in trouble. 5. Another gate. So that means we have to draw another card for that. Another follower. So that's 5. And now orderly idol. These are all things that would help. That's not too bad, but that gate's now protected, so that's 7. And an unspeakable horror here as well, and that's 8. So now things are really, really bad here, because now we have to negotiate this. But the problem is that we have all these horrors that are just about to wake up. So let's just for sake say that we were able to take care of a majority of these cards. So we would have to negotiate this area here. So I think you get the gist of it, that as these gates come out, you're chasing these boards and these horrors and everything, and it can really get ugly. Now, these weren't very shuffled, so it usually would be a lot better, a lot worse. You would have a lot more cards spread out, but it starts to pile up and your experience just isn't enough. So that's the gist of how to play the Cards of Cthulhu. So let's head up top and get my final thoughts. Now, like I said at the very beginning, I'm a big Dan Versen fan. I love a lot of his war games. I like his take on a lot of things. The problem I had with this is when we played 4 players, we ran through it pretty easy. So it kind of loses something when you have 4 people playing. You think it would be harder, but this almost seems like it's a solo game, which I don't have a problem with when I want to spend some time. The other problem that I seem to have with this is that it feels a little bit like Elder Sign. Not exactly Elder Sign, but you know, it has that feel. The dice rolling, you know, a lot of luck, and then you kind of get overrun. It has a little bit of a tower defense kind of feel to it, where it starts off where you're knocking things off, and then all of a sudden things start to build and come at you, and you can only dedicate to one area, and it does get you know, pretty tough, which I like tough games. I like games that are hard to beat. Did I have fun playing this? Absolutely. But it felt too much like Elder Signs, and if I had to choose between this and Elder Signs, I pick Elder Signs. It's still a very good game, and I know that there's an expansion that recently came out for it, so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. I have played it a lot, and I do enjoy playing it, but I find that it works best with 2 players. Now, the Cthulhu theme to it, the artwork, everything, very, very, very nice. Great job. You know, Dan does a great job on his games. I've always enjoyed his games. But this one here, I felt, you know, a little bit that it was too similar to another game, but I did enjoy it, and I do find myself playing it more than I do Elder Signs, which is kind of weird, because I always felt that, you know, it's just easy to throw down these 4 boards and shuffle the cards and go. So it's very quick to get up and going. So I have to give this a 7 out of 10. And it's a very good game. But, you know, I think it's for certain tastes. And if you're a big Cthulhu fan, I think you're going to like it. If you are just a board game fan looking for something that you want to do with more than 2 players, I don't think this would fit you. Now, we'll take a look at the expansion and see maybe if that adds some more. I heard it adds another board, which adds an entire another dimension to it. But that's a review for another time. So that's it for this week's review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave the comments in the bottom. And as always, for the Dice Tower, I'm Rob Warren, and we'll see you soon.